Simon, there's been a lot of praise for how Ireland attacked and how efficient they were at the weekend on defence. Can I ask you particularly about that big, long defensive set you had just before the scrum and the break before the opening try?
At the end of the first half.
Yeah, that kind of huge, it was a 15-20 phases, very aggressive, disciplined, not giving up penalty advantages. How much do you take from that compared to the try itself?
I think that was there was a few times they got into our 22 and the line out stole one. We also got a turnover in the corner after they did a front peel. Ty got a poach. I think the discipline thing was pleasing because there's so many more opportunities in defence to give away a penalty than there is in attack, and the heightened awareness for officials around the back foot. If it's it can be literally centimetres sometimes, and the ruck shifts and we don't shift with it, then there's a penalty advantage. There's hands in ruck. So the discipline part of that I thought was excellent. We'll still feel like we, although we defended really well at times, especially in our 22, we also coughed up a couple of tries which we were disappointed about, and we've had a look at that today. So there were some really good sets, definitely pleasing. And it's nice that that we spend a bit of time in there and we don't concede either penalties or certainly points. But
looking at Wales next week, have they changed much compared to the Wales you would have faced 12 months ago?
There's a bit of personnel, but they've been very good actually in the 22. Their 5 tries, 4 of them have come from tap penalties. So they're really effective once they get into that part of the pitch, and they have been, like I said, 4 of their 5 tries have come from that. So I think they're growing in confidence. They'll feel like they should have held out and beaten Scotland, and they had a bit of a switch off on a halfway restart, which is sort of 7 points for nothing almost, and that might have been the difference. So they'll come here with confidence. They're well coached. They're a proud group of players, and we need to make sure that we take the learnings from Saturday in Twickenham, but keep getting better ourselves.
Rory, then Peter.
How do you balance the kind of bottling the good feeling of Twickenham, but also being ruthless about the areas that you need to improve on, and particularly the number of times England they get into your 22? Because I presume a team maybe not more at stay might make more at pay.
Yeah, sure. I think we always are. Rory, I genuinely we'll definitely enjoy the good moments in games and make sure we understand some of the efforts that players put in to give us good moments both sides of the ball. But I also feel like we go hard on even when we have had success and we've had results. We've gone hard at the moments when we feel like another team might have taken those opportunities, or the moments that they do take them, and we still win the game by a good margin. But should we have beaten them by more, and should we have not have let them create or generate those opportunities? So I think as a group, in my time under Faz, it's always been the way. It's definitely I guess celebrating good performances and individual and unit and team performances, but also going hard at us getting better all the time.
What does the profile of the back 3 you finished with at Twickenham do for what you're able to do on both sides of the ball in terms of the speed that they offer repeatedly?
Yeah, it's not usual you have a winger on the bench, so it kind of worked out pretty well. I think that might have been Goody's good idea. But yeah, it was great that you had a bit of pace there. It was. The game will always break up a little bit more as it goes on. You saw in the end of the French game, I know they went down a man Italy, but the game broke up from being a bit of a stalemate for a while, and it broke up. So games will genuinely break up at the end, and we've got some really good, strong bench players at the moment who've come on and impacted the game. Tommy obviously came on a bit earlier than maybe he might have done if Lowy hadn't gone down. But Frawls is a player that's can play anywhere really across the backline, 10, 12, 15. So from that end and the way that Rob played throughout the game, both sides of the ball was outstanding. So there's no substitute for pace, they tell me. I didn't have much of it, so it's class when we get the opportunity to have those guys who are with speed and freshness coming on, like we had in the forwards as well.
You're the one who understands the Welsh rugby more than anyone else because you're on the ground there. You're at a lot of
I'm not sure about that at the moment.
Well, it's just the sense that you have of watching those regional games. There have been good results for the regions. The little bit of green shoots that we've seen in performances. Well, what do you expect from Wales, like a proud rugby nation? They're not going to be giving up. Well, they gave you real problems last year.
They did, yeah. It was tough. I mean, they obviously had I think we met them in the middle, didn't we? When Gats left, and they brought Matt in as a caretaker. But I think they got a really good coaching group that have gained confidence from this weekend's performance. And I know it didn't deliver the result that they would have liked, but they've got some strong carriers. Like I said, like Aaron Wainwright is probably carrying as well as any forward in the Six Nations at the moment, and often that's on the back foot. But they get into your 22, they're hard to defend against. They play with speed and they play with width, and I thought Costello made a big difference to them on the weekend. When he had front foot ball, it allowed him to play on top of Scotland and make it difficult. So yeah, I like you say, I know them maybe a little bit better than some, but you all know how a team like Wales will love the fact that people will write them off and they come back stronger.
Peter? Simon, hi. Actually, Rory's kind of jumped in there a little bit. I was just looking at the Wales team that played against Scotland. There's only 2 starters who played against you last year, and there's a different coaching team. Will you even look at last year's game, or is there some wisdom or lessons that you can take from being pushed so closely?
Yeah, I think there's still some attacking structures that are similar with Matt Sharrett being involved, but obviously, there's different personnel in terms of players on the pitch, but certainly the way they want to play when they get front football, the way they want to play to width, and the way they attack, I thought was some of their best rugby on the weekend against Scotland, but reflective of probably a few of those individual and sort of team performances against us, especially last Six Nations when they had a bit of a bounce from what happened in the previous 2 weeks, and we were on the receiving end of that. So I think obviously things will change a little bit, but we'll certainly take a little bit of that and make sure that we're aware of what they want to try and do when they have the ball.
Well, you were obviously head coach at the time, Simon, and you made a good few changes from the previous game against Scotland.
Yeah.
Do you look back on that as, you say they got a bounce, do you think you went in with the right attitude against Wales last year?
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like we did, but I guess you make some decisions and sometimes tweaking and tinkering too much can destabilize or just try and it can change momentum a little bit. But we had a few guys banged up, and the Scotland game was pretty physical, and I thought that was a brilliant performance. But we certainly went to Cardiff with the same type of intent, and we felt like we built up well into the game. We probably gave them opportunities to get on the front foot a little bit too much, which is something that we'll certainly try to nullify on next week.
Thanks.
Maybe in line for 50 next week. Players, you played with and coached some incredible scrum halves. What makes him different? Sets him apart?
He's just. I guess he's tough, and a lot of nines are tough. But he's tough, robust. But he sees things early, and I think both sides of the ball, he's got an appetite to attack the game. You saw some of his defensive efforts on the weekend. It's a dream for a coaching group to have a nine that leads from the front. Sometimes you're like, careful, but that's not in his nature. But yeah, he's right up there in terms of his speed of delivery, his speed of thought, is obviously his speed of movement. What is he now? 36? Joking. He's getting better, and it's what it does is it creates. Craig wants to chase that down. Doki wants to chase that down. There'll be other 9. We've got some great 9s in the country that will want to go and emulate the sort of stuff that Jamison has done. But yeah, on the weekend he was right up there as probably maybe one other guy in World Rugby that's close to him playing the same position. But they're pretty close.